WWE continues to make changes to its infrastructure and processes, both in front of the camera and behind the scenes, which brings us significant and important news concerning Daniel Bryan, Hulk Hogan, Jim Ross, WWE 2K14, NXT, and WWE Hall of Famer Bret the HITMAN Hart. Of course, WWE was in Canada recently. Firstly, Daniel Bryan. He is the cover star and interview of the October issue of the WWE magazine. In the magazine, he says that, in his opinion, there is no patience for smaller wrestlers to develop in WWE. Also, that he feels that he does not have the ability to attract the attention of the casual viewer who may be flicking through the channels of their TV. He also states that it will still take some significant period of time to unseat John Cena as the face of the company. The October issue of the WWE magazine, featuring also an interview with The Shield, is available now, at least in the United States of America, and it'll be over in the UK at least very soon, probably this week. Secondly, Hulk Hogan, who is of course featured in the new video game, which I'll get to in a minute. His TNA contract is reportedly expiring on October 1st. Now, no word yet from either TNA, and Hogan's camp has certainly refused to comment at this time regarding any negotiations or new contract between TNA and Hulk Hogan. I believe he will stay with TNA for at least the Bound for Glory pay-per-view, which is of course TNA's biggest pay-per-view of the year. Anything after that will be entirely up to Hulk Hogan and TNA to decide. Now, talking of contracts, my favourite commentator, Jim Ross, has announced that he has retired from WWE after 20 years. Joined in 1993, of course, and made his debut at WrestleMania 9. He had, of course, worked in the industry for many, many years beforehand in Mid-South, in NWA, WCW. He is to concentrate on his personal endeavours, and I wish him all the best. I certainly do not believe this is the end, completely, of any association between Jim Ross and WWE. We will see Jim Ross back in some, at least maybe an appearance or so in WWE sometime down the road. Also, very quickly, we may actually hear from Jim Ross, hopefully maybe soon, on the now rebranded Steve Austin show, which seems to have been renamed Steve Austin Unleashed. More on that in a few weeks. Now, Jim Ross has been working for all these 20 years in various talent, relations and development roles, which brings me to the big changes going on in NXT. Firstly, they have released 3 talents. Malik Omari, a British talent signed earlier this year. Luther Ward, an Irish talent signed just last month, so I don't know what's happened there. And Jake Carter, son of wrestling legend Vader, who was signed in 2011. They have, though, re-signed Sean Gavin Spears, former WECW talent, who was re-signed to a developmental deal after attending a few WWE tryout events. Now, big changes are going on in the NXT management. Firstly, it's rumoured that William Regal, future WWE Hall of Famer, is taking over at least part of Jim Ross's role that he had recently, working talent relations and development in NXT. And if so, that is nothing but good news for the NXT guys, of course, down at the newly opened Performance Centre, because they will be learning from at least 2, well actually 3 if you include Norman Smiley, 3 UK wrestling legends, with Robbie Brookside, Liverpool lad, UK wrestling legend himself, just joining WWE, taking up his position as NXT trainer. I was invited to meet Mr. Robbie Brookside recently, as he was in Glasgow doing training with Scottish Wrestling Alliance, a great group down there. But unfortunately, because of my holiday in New York, I couldn't attend. I really wish I could have had at least a chance to have a word with Mr. Robbie Brookside. Perhaps next time, if WWE or his schedule allows him to return to training there. He has trained some of the students there several times in the past. Also, spoiler alert, WWE actually broadcasts its NXT program here in the UK. We get it on Sky Sports Thursday night, midnight. That's Thursday night going into Friday. It's then repeated before Monday Night Raw. And Triple H will announce on this coming Friday's edition of NXT that NXT has a new general manager in John Bradshaw Layfield. He takes over from Dusty Rhodes. Now, the exact circumstances behind this, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether this is just something for the TV, the NXT television program, or whether it is a genuine move behind the scenes. As I said, WWE continues to change its infrastructure, like removing on all supposed non-essential personnel from live events. Certainly this WWE are making these moves perhaps under the influence of COO Triple H. WWE issued a statement saying this is to solidify the company's position and the foundation so it can move on in these difficult economic climes that we are in. So what Dusty Rhodes' involvement in NXT is right at this time when I record this, I'm not entirely sure. He has been involved in NXT for several years and actually involved in FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling, before NXT was reborn. Now, talking of talent, the WWE 2K14 full roster will finally be revealed this coming Monday. Exact timings, again, I don't know, they're refusing to say, but we do know that the roster will be revealed on Raw and 2K14 and WWE websites. Finally, we will get to know the full rest of the roster for the game. Obviously, ones that will be in there are the likes of Wade Barrett, Titus O'Neil is believed to be in there because Darren Young has already been announced. Several of the obvious guys will be in the roster. The full roster list, and perhaps any details of DLCs, downloadable content. We don't know. We'll have to wait till Monday to find out exactly how many WWE superstars and divas, even because we haven't learned of any divas yet, will be in the game. Now, WWE Hall of Famer Bret "HITMAN" Hart, he is hitting these shores, the UK shores, next month for a mini UK tour. His single appearance in Scotland will be here in Dundee at the Bonner Hall for Scottish Wrestling Entertainment, the same company that has brought its former owner, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, Chavo Guerrero Jr., Tatanka, Rowdy Roddy Piper and Diamond Dallas Page. Bret Hart will be hitting Dundee on a single date on Sunday, October 20th, again at the Bonner Hall here in Dundee. Tickets for that one, and very limited tickets available. The only tickets left now are the £20 for adults and £15 for kids. Tickets are available at sweonline.co.uk. Click on shop and you'll get your tickets there. So don't worry about getting the so-called lesser tickets, because the Bonner Hall, as anyone who may have been to events there before, like Hell for Lycra this past August, it's a stepped seating arrangement, so whatever tickets you'll have a great view. It's not the hugest of venues, it's a good venue, which is why they're hosting the event there, but you'll get a great view, whatever ticket price, wherever you're sitting, you will get a great view of the action. And of course, the autograph session will happen at 2 PM on that day, Sunday, October 20th, where you'll be able to get any merchandise you may have bought from BretHart.com, your official website and store for all the Hitman merchandise. Anything you might bring along, you can get him to sign it, pictures with the legend himself before the event. Again, that autograph session, meet and greet session will be at 2 PM. So that is the only event, the single date for Bret "HITMAN" Hart in Scotland is Dundee Bonner Hall for Scottish Wrestling Entertainment on October 20th. Very quickly, also a DVD recommendation. This was recommended to me by one of its stars, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, this past August when he was in Dundee for that Hell for Lycra event. WWE Legends of Mid-South. It features some of the biggest names in wrestling. The Rock and Roll and Midnight Expresses, Junkyard Dog, Andre the Giant, Terry Taylor, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Ernie Ladd. It features a lot of great talent. I was unsure about getting this, but as I said, after a recommendation from the $1 Million Man, obviously it's pre-$1 Million Man, when he called himself actually the Big Cheese, and if you don't believe me, watch the DVD. The Big Cheese Ted DiBiase recommended this to me. I thought, if he recommends it to me, give it a go. I sat down, I watched it. It's 3 discs, 6 hours, 2 discs on Blu-ray with a few extras. I just bought it on the 3 DVDs because you can't get really wrestling Blu-rays around here lately apart from online. And I saw it on a good deal. But I sat down, watched it, really enjoyed it. So if you want to see some great wrestling action from the 1980s, pick up WWE Legends of Mid-South. I've also picked up recently and ordered this online after being in New York, after being outside the place itself, Madison Square Garden. The Best of WWE at Madison Square Garden. I picked it up on Blu-ray, thought I couldn't ignore all the extras on that Blu-ray set, and I'll review that in the coming future when I get the chance to actually watch it. I got it, of course, from www.dvd.com. So that's the wrestling news. I said a lot of things going on, a lot of changes still to come apparently in WWE's infrastructure and processes before the end of the year, and apparently a couple of major announcements regarding the way that WWE does business are reportedly also coming up in December.